Hello and welcome to this instructional video on how to create control points in Team Fortress 2. This tutorial may be split into two parts as it may be too long for YouTube, so if it is split into two parts, look out for the second part. I'll put it into the title of the video if it is one of two, so just look out for that. I will create a different tutorial as well for something that relates to this tutorial. Basically what it is an entity in your map called a Team Control Point Master, which controls all of your control points. So because it's too long and too detailed to explain to this tutorial, I'll cover it in a different tutorial, so look out for that one as well. To create control points, what we need to do first is put an entity in your map. To do that, you need to click on the entity tool and then click on your map. Once that's done, you need to select your entity and go into the object properties. To do so, you can either right click on the 2D view or just double click on the 3D view. Once you've got the object properties window up, you need to change its class to a prop dynamic. It will be a prop dynamic because later on we'll give it certain circumstances surrounding the control point will mean the prop dynamic will change. So it basically means that the dynamic will allow it to change depending on the conditions surrounding it. So it's not a prop static, it's a prop dynamic. So go to apply, and the first thing you need to do is change the world model of this to a cap points base. This will be the base of your control point, which you will stand on and will be visible in game. So click OK and then go to apply. You'll be given your control point base. Line it up on the 2D view so it's basically in the middle. Once it's done, you need to give it a name. Call it something unique like CP for control point 1 because it's control point 1, and call it base because it's the control point base. Go to apply, and that's it for the key values for this base. So click apply and then go to cancel. Secondly, we need to make a flag for your control point. This is the flag that goes in the middle of the control point. This is the thing you'll be actually capturing in game, so it's very important. So to add one of those, go to your entity tool, click on your map, select your entity, double click on your entity and change it to a team control point. Select team control point and go to apply. Now the first thing you need to do to this is give it a name. CP1 again, and call it flag because it's the flag for control point 1. Now you've done that, minimize or move your object properties box down for a bit, and we need to align this flag with the control point. So the best way I do it is go to the top view on your grid view and just align the haze, the little circular haze that goes around the flag, with the circular node in the middle of the control point. So just line it up. If you zoom in, you can see the haze hovering over the central node. Once that's aligned, check that on the 3D view, and that looks quite good. So I'm going to leave that now. You can take more care over it, but you can do that in your own time. Now you need to give it a print name. A print name is very important because when you capture this control point in a map, or when you capture any control point in someone else's map or a Valve map, it will tell you at the top right of your screen that the players that have captured that control point, and it will tell you what control point they have captured. This key value will set that name of the control point. So if you put it to red base, because I'm near the red base, if you put it to red base and go to apply, when you run this in game, when you eventually make all your control points and you capture this control point, it will say you've captured red base. So this is the name that appears at the top right of the screen in game to tell you what control point you've captured. So it just personalizes the control point. So that's quite nice. Group index, leave it at 0 for now. This relates to the control point master, so I'll take you through that later. Default owner. Default owner means what the default owner will be when the map or round starts. So because I'm going to create 3 control points in this map, I want to give 1 to each team and have 1 neutral, and because I'm near the red base, I'll give it to red. So this will be red from the offset. So because it's near the red base, it's going to be red. Neither basically means it will glow white, it'll be a neutral control point, and blue will mean it's blue. Index, this is important This relates to control points and control point master, so I'll cover this in detail in the control point tutorial, in the team control point master tutorial. However, for now, make sure all of your flags have a different index. So because this is control point 1, leave it at 0. If you make a new control point, it has to be anything apart from 0. So it can be 1, 2, 3. It's best to go in order. So if I make a new control point, I'll have it as 1, but this one is going to be 0. So if you have 3 control points in your map, set one as 0, set the other one as 1, and set the last one as 2. So you have 3 indexes. Never ever have 2 zeros or 2 1s or 2 2s, as it will mess up the team control point master. But I'll get onto that later. So warning type. Normal announcements basically means when this control point is being captured, the tannoy woman, the woman that comes over and shouts stuff at you, will basically tell the other team that their control point is being captured. However, there is 2 types of announcements. Normal announcements means when this control point is being captured, the woman will go, "The control point is being captured," and the final capture point warning, the woman will say, "The final control point is being captured." Because this is going to be the last control point before the red base, you want it to be a final capture point warning. So when the blues capture this control point and are about to win, the tannoy woman will say, the woman that comes over the speakers will say to the red team, "Your final control point is being captured." This basically just alerts the red team that their final control point is being captured. For any other control point that isn't a final control point before a base, just select normal announcements. Because it is the final control point, we'll select final capture point warning. This is all fine. You can just leave these other key values to default. However, the red previous required point 1, 2 and 3 and the blue previous required point 1, 2 and 3, these are all needed and I will configure them later. However, that won't make sense if I try and do it now, because I can't do it now anyway, as I have to make more control points and then come back to this. So bear with me and we'll do that later, I promise. Go to apply and then go to cancel. Now what we need to do next is create a trigger that we put around this control point, so when you step inside the trigger, when you load up the map, it will initiate a capture of this flag. So when you step inside it will tell the flag it's being captured. So to do that we need to select the brush tool. You can either select block from down the side or cylinder. It doesn't matter. I personally make a block and I'll put a block around it so it doesn't actually fit exactly. There will be bits overlapping, but you can put a cylinder so it goes exactly all the way around, the same size as the control point base, but it doesn't really matter as Team Fortress 2 is a bit too hectic to worry about fine detail like this. But it's personal preference again. You can create a cylinder. I like to create a block, so I wanted to create a block. So create a block around the perimeter of your control point base. And one thing you need to do, I go to the front view for this, is you have to make the height of this, for some really odd reason, 256 inches above the floor or more. I don't know why you have to do it. Valve tell you to do it, so just do it. I think it does work if you put it lower, but I've never tested it to a lower value, so for the sake of this tutorial I'm going to do it like this. You can always lower it yourself, but I'm not, so haha. You need to filter for the trigger texture, so just type in trigger and filter and there'll be 2 that appear. You don't want the editor / trigger relay, you want the tools / tools trigger. It's the orange box with the trigger name inside. So double click on that and click enter to apply the texture. Now we need to set this trigger texture, we need to set the rules for this trigger texture, so press Ctrl and T to bring up the object properties for this trigger texture. Once you've got that up, you need to change a class to a trigger capture area, the words being separated by underscores. So once that's in there, my hammer's frozen again. 1 second. It does this when you're screencasting.